1.11.1 Application of pilot-operated valve to control the table of a surface grinder. Pilot-operated valve, figure 1.26. This circuit uses a pilot-operated directional control valve, or DCV, to move the table of a surface grinder back and forth. When the table hits stop S1 or S2, it presses push buttons B1 and B2 that change the pilot signal direction. This signal controls the main valve, which makes the double-acting cylinder extend or retract automatically, allowing continuous table movement. Ang pilot valve ay ginagamit para kontrolin ang paggalaw ng mesa ng isang surface grinder ng pabalik-balik. May double-acting cylinder na nagtutulak at humihila ng mesa. Sa kabilang dulo ng mesa, may mga stop kagaya ng S1 at o kaya S2 na tumatama sa mga push button. Ang tawag ay B1 at B2 ng pilot valve. Kapag tinamaan ni S1 ang B1, magpapadala ng signal dun sa pilot. Ito po yung figure 1.6. Ito po yung table at ito po ang S1. Kapag naging activate po itong S1 at tumama sa B1, ang pilot valve ay magkocontrol sa main valve para mabago ang direction ng langis. At ang electric motor at pump ay nagbibigay naman ng pressure sa system. Sa madaling salita, ang pilot valve ang nag-uutos at ang main valve ay gumagawa ng paggalaw. Ang figure 1.27 valve overlap. Pinapakita nito ang tatlong klase ng valve overlap na tumutukoy kung paano nag-a-align ang mga port ng valve. Ang una nito ay ang positive overlap. Sinasarado muna ang mga daan bago magbukas ulit at nagdudulot ito ng smooth na pagtigil pero mabagal ang response. Ang pangalawa nito ay negative overlap. Bukas na agad ang mga port kahit hindi pa ganap na move ang spool. Mas mabilis ang response pero pwedeng magdulot ng leakage. At ang pangatlo naman ito ay zero overlap. Sakto lang ang alignment ng ports. Balancing performance at madalas gamitin sa normal operation. There are simple circuits commonly found in hydraulic system. Figure 1.28, raising and lowering heavy loads. A cylinder controlled by a four-way disc TV lifts or lower a weights. A pilot to open check valve is added to prevent the cylinder from slowly creeping down due to leakage, ensuring safety and control. Figure 1.29 to 1.31, shuttle valve circuit. A shuttle valve allows either of two buttons to operate one single acting cylinder. Pressing any button sends fluid to the cylinder to extend it, while the spring retracts it when released. This is useful for long machines that need control from both ends. Ang figure figure ay nagpapakita ng hydraulic circuit na ginagamit para itaas at ibaba ang mabibigat na bagay gamit ang cylinder. Kinokontrol ito ng 4-way directional control valve na may tandem center o neutral position. Paano ito gumagana? Kapag nasa neutral position ang DCB, figure 1.28, ang langis mula sa pump ay dumadaloy diretso pabalik sa tangke nang walang pressure. Dapat ay manatiling steady o nakahinto ang piston ng cylinder. Pero dahil may bigat sa itaas, hinihila nito pababa ang piston dahil dito tumataas ang pressure sa rod end at minsan ay may konting tagas sa loob ng valve. Resulta nito, unti-unting bumababa o gumagapang pababa ang cylinder kahit hindi mo pinapaandar. Paano naman ito na aayos? Nilalagyan ng pilot to open check valve sa linya ng rod end. Ang check valve na ito ay hindi nagpapalabas ng langis maliban kung may pressure na signal. Dahil dito, napipigilan ang pagtagas at hindi bumababa ang cylinder kahit may bigat na parang safety lock din ito para sa piston. Kapag pinapa-extend ang cylinder, magpapadala na pressure mula sa pump papunta ang blind end ng cylinder. Ang pressure na ito ay nagbubukas ng check valve kaya makakadaloy palabas ang langis mula sa rod end papunta ito sa tangke. Ang resulta nito, maayos at kontroladong pagbaba ng bigat, kaya pinaparetract ang cylinder na dumadaloy ang langis mula sa pump papunta sa rod end. Sa direksyong ito, walang epekto ang check valve kaya tuloy-tuloy ang daloy. Umaangat ang piston at tumataas ang load nito. Sa madaling sabi, ang DCB ang nagkokontrol ng galaw ng piston. Pataas o pababa ito. Ang check valve ay nag-iingat para hindi dahan-dahang bumababa ang piston kapag hindi ginagamit. Kaya ang circuit na ito ay ligtas at kontrolado kahit may bigat na load ito. Piston overlap. The piston overlap determines how a valve opens or closes and affects the oil flow, pressure, and leakage. And there are three main types. Tinutukoy nito ang pagkakaiba ng haba ng piston land, yung solid na parte ng spool at ng port opening, yung daan ng langis nito. Ibig sabihin, ito ang distansya o pagitan ng mga parte ng valve kapag nagbubukas o nagsasara ang overlap na ito. Ang nakaka-epekto sa daloy ng langis at sa bilis ng paglipat ng switching. At ito ang three types of piston overlap. Ang una ay positive overlap. Lahat ng daanan o ports ay sinasarado sandali habang lumilipat ang valve. Dahil dito, nagkakaroon ng biglaang pagtaas ng pressure. Ang resulta nito, patigas o biglang galaw ang piston. Maganda para sa precise control pero hindi ito smooth gamitin. Ang ikalwa naman ay negative overlap. Lahat ng daanan ay nagkakaugnay sandali habang lumilipat ito. Nagiging sanhi ng biglang pagbaba ng pressure, load drops down. Ang resulta naman nito ay mabilis naman ito, pero maaaring bumagsak ang load o mawalan ng control. Ang pangatlo, zero overlap. Saktong nagtatagpo ang edges ng piston at port Wala masyadong itong delay o leakage. Mabilis naman ito at pantay ang switching, kaya ito ang madalas gamitin sa high-speed system. At ang kasunod naman ay ang pressure advance opening. Una munang nakakonekta ang pump sa actuator bago ito bumalik sa reservoir at nagbibigay ito agad ng pressure sa system kaya mabilis ito mag-response. Ang kasunod ay ang outlet advance opening. Unang nagdi-disconnect o mabubuksan ang outlet papunta sa reservoir bago pumasok ang pressure mula sa pump. Ang resulta ay maayos at kontroladong paglabas ng pressure. Iwas sa biglaang paggalaw o pressure spike.
Ang tatlong larawan ay nagpapakita na magkakatuglad na hydraulic circuit na gumagamit ng shuttle valves o OR valves upang kontrolin ang isang acting cylinder. Figure 1.29 ay nagpapakita ng ang sistema kung saan ang cylinder ay bumabalik sa orihinal nitong posisyon. Meron din itong 400 bar per maximum operating pressure ng system o ginagamit upang maibalik ang piston. Yan ay madalas na nangyayari pag nawala ang pressure at ang spring ay nagtutulak pabalik sa piston. Figure 1.30 pinapakita ang sistema kung paano umuusad ang cylinder sa paggamit ng shuttle valves para kontrolin ang single-acting cylinder forward. Ito ang nagdadirect sa daloy ng langis. Bawat DCB ay mayroong push-button actuator at spring return. Ang pump ang nagbibigay ng pressurized na langis mula sa reservoir sa sistema. Figure 1.3, use of shuttle valves to control single-acting cylinder forward. Ito po ay nagpapakita ng isang pneumatic o hydraulic control circuit. Ang layunin nito ay paganahin ng isang cylinder para umusad o mabantay gamit ang presyon ng fluid, ng hangin o langis mula sa dalawang magkaibang control point. Single-acting cylinder, umuusad po ito kapag may presyon ng fluid na pumapasok at bumabalik sa tulong ng isang spring sa loob kapag inaalis ang presyon. Directional control valves or DCB1 at DCB2, ito naman po ay ang dalawang input para kontrolin ang cylinder. Meron po itong 3 two-way valves, tatlong daanan o dalawang posisyon. Ang mga ito ay normally closed, ibig sabihin sa normal nilang posisyon na may spring, hinaharangan nila ang supply ng presyon. Shuttle valves or OR gate, ito ang mahalagang bahagi na nasa ilalim ng cylinder na kung saan mayroon itong dalawang pasukan na tinatawag nating inlet at isang labasan ang outlet. Mayroong maliit din ito na bola o spool sa loob na lilipat upang harangin ang inlet na walang presyon. Sa ganitong paraan po, hindi masasayang o aagos palabas ang fluid mula sa kabilang DCB. Pressure source group, ito ang bahagi sa ibaba na nagbibigay ng presyon. Sa madaling salita, ito ay simpleng OR, logic circuit na ginagamit para sa kaligtasan o kaginhawahan na nagpapahintulot na simula ng isang gawain mula sa dalawang magkaibang lugar.
Dito naman po sa regenerative circuit, position 1 ay isang uri po ng circuit na gumagamit ng feedback upang palakasin po yung signal. Yung pong lumalabas na signal ay muli pong bumabalik sa input, kaya naman po paulit-ulit na nadadagdagan yung lakas ng ating signal. Parang sa mic lang din po ito na umuugong sa tuwing nakakarinig po ng tunog mula sa speaker. And kadalasan po itong ginagamit sa radio receiver and amplifier upang palakasin po yung may hinang signal and upang mas malinaw po na matanggap natin yung tunog at frequency. So dito naman po sa circuit position 2 ay isang uri ng circuit na ginagamit upang mas mapabilis ang pag-extend ng isang cylinder nang hindi po kinakailangan ng dagdag na hangin at liquid. And imbis po na bumalik sa tangke, ang liquid or fluid mula sa rod side ay bumabalik sa piston side, kaya naman ang dalawang side ng cylinder ay napupuno at bumibilis yung pag-usad ng piston. So sa madali pong sabi, ang circuit position 2 ay ginagamit upang pabilisin ang galaw ng cylinder sa pamamagitan po ng muling paggamit ng liquid. Pero mas mahina po ang lakas nito kumpara sa normal na operation. Dito naman po sa circuit position 3 ay isang uri ng system na nagre-recycle ng energy upang mapabilis at maging efficient ang galaw ng cylinder. Imbis po na itapon ang lumalabas na liquid, ay binabalik po ito sa kabilang side ng cylinder upang madagdagan ang daloy ng fluid at upang bumilis ang pag-uusad ng piston. Dahil dito, mas mabilis ang galaw ng cylinder kahit walang dagdag na lakas mula sa pump. At nakakatipid din po sa energy at tumataas ang performance ng system. Maaari pong i-install ang DBC sa dalawang paraan. Ang number 1 po is inline. Ang inline mounting po is gumagamit ng threaded connection sa bulb. And meron po itong dalawang disadvantage. Ang una po is maaaring masira ang thread tuwing inaalis o tinatanggal po ang connection. Yung pong pangalawa is maaaring magkaroon ng tagas habang tumatagal po ang paggamit. Ang number 2 po natin is subplate mounting. Ang bulb po ay kinakabit sa katugmang subplate na may o-ring seal po. Ang o-ring seal po is isang guma upang pigilan po yung pagtagas o pag-leak. And meron po tayong dalawang advantage. Mas nalelesser po yung tagas at contamination. Then yung pong pangalawa is mas madali pong palitan ang bulb. Ang manifold mounting po isang uri ng pagkakabit kung saan ang dalawa or higit pang bulb ay pinagsasama-sama sa iisang subplate. Ito ay bumubuo ng integrated circuit na may internal connection kaya hindi na kailangan ng dagdag na fittings or tubo. Ang cartridge bulb naman po ay isang uri ng bulbs na ginagamit kasama ng manifold, kung saan nagsisilbing pang-alternate po ito sa mga spool types bulb. At dahil dito, mas madali ang pag-i-install, mas kakaunti ang space na ginagamit, at mas efficient ang takbo ng system.
For example 1, a cylinder with a bore diameter of 7 cm and a rod diameter of 3.125 cm is to be used in a system with a 45 LPM pump. Use the graph in Fig 1.36 to determine the pressure drops across the DCB when the cylinder is retracting. P to B, A to T. Ito ay tungkol sa hydraulic cylinder na kumikilos sa tulong ng pump at directional control valve o DCV. Ang goal ay malaman ang pressure drop habang nagre-retract ng cylinder. First thing to do is let's find the given data. To find the given data, we're gonna find the bore diameter or the DP, the rod diameter or the DR, and the pump flow or the QP. According to example 1, the bore diameter or the DP is equals to the DP 7 cm is equal to 7 cm, and the rod diameter or the DR is equals to 3.125 cm, and the pump flow or the QP is equals to 45 LMP. And this is the clear given data. To study the solution, first is alamin kung anong direction ng flow kapag nag-retract ang cylinder. Ang titingnan natin is yung P to B and A to T. Una, ang pump flow ay pupunta sa rod end P to B. Ang fluid sa kabila ay lalabas bilang return flow A to T. After that, babasahin ang pressure drop para sa P to B. Kapag ang flow ay equals to 45 LPM, ang pressure drop mula sa P to B ay mga 3.2 bar. Then, kailangang malaman ang return flow rate ng A to T. Ang area sa roadside ay mas maliit kaysa sa area sa boreside, kaya mas mabilis ang paglabas ng langis sa blind end, means mas malaki ang return flow. So we must be determined by the following method. To solve, we're gonna calculate the piston area, road area, and return flow. And here are the formula for piston area, and let me teach you how to solve it. Here's are the formula for piston area or AP. AP is equal to pi over 4 times dP2. To easily understand, we're gonna write again the AP is equals to pi over 4 times, we're gonna substitute the dP, which is equals to 7 cm, and we're gonna write the 7 cm 2. And equal. Next is we're gonna find the value of pi, which is 3.14, and we're gonna divide it by 4. And it's equals to 0.785 times 7 cm 2. Lastly is we're gonna times this 2, and the answer is 38.5 cm squared. And next is the road area. Let's gonna compute this again. Road area or AR. The formula is AR is equals to pi over 4 times dr squared. Next is we're gonna substitute AR equals pi is 3.14 over 4 times the dr or the road diameter is equals to 3.125 cm squared. To compute again, 3.14 divided by 4 is equals to 0.85, then times to 3.125 cm squared is equals to 7.7 cm squared. And last is the return flow. Return flow formula. Q return is equals to Q pump times AP over AP minus AR. The first thing to do is to substitute again. So Q return is equals to pump flow or the QP, which is equivalent to 45 LMP. Times AP or the piston area, which is 38.5 over AP again 38.5 minus AR or the road area, which is equal to 7.7. First thing to do is to subtract the 38.5 minus 7.7. To easy understand, we're gonna copy again the 45 times 38.5, and the answer for subtraction is 30.8. The next step is to divide the 38.5 over 30.8, and it's equal to 1.25, and we're gonna multiply the 45 times 1.25, and the equal is 56.25 return flow. Now the flow from A to T can now be read from the graph. Hanapin kung nasa ng flow equals 56 LMP sa linya ng A to T. Makikita ang pressure drop ay equals to 6.2 bar. And here's are the final results.
Example number 2. Derive an expression to estimate leakage through the spool and housing bore for concentric leak path. Sinasabi dito, hanapin ang formula o equation para tansyahin o estimate kung gaano karami ang tagas ng fluid. Gagamitin mo ang figure 1.37 at mga simbolo sa drawing para makuha ito. Ipinapakita nito kung paano dumadaan ang langis o fluid mula sa mataas na pressure o P1 papunta sa mababang pressure o P2. Ang langis ay dumadaan sa napakakitid na puwang o clearance sa pagitan ng spool at sleeve. Ang L ay haba ng daan, D ang diameter ng spool, at Q ang dami ng langis na tumatagas. Sa gilid, makikita ang hugis ng daloy o velocity profile. Ibig sabihin, mas mabilis sa gitna at mabagal malapit sa pader, gaya ng normal na fluid flow. Ang normal na presyo sa hydraulic system ay nasa 700 to 800 bar. Sobrang taas. At isa sa mga problema ay ang internal leakage. Tumatagas ang langis sa loob ng mga bahagi ng makina. Ang leakage naman ay nangyari kapag naupod o nasira ang mga parts gaya ng spool at sleeve o sa madaling sabi housing bore. Ipinapakita ng figure 1.37 kung saan dumadaan ang tagas sa maliit na puwang sa pagitan ng dalawang bilog na bakal o spool at sleeve. Yun ay yung last na picture na pinakita ko. Dito naman, ito yung tawag sa mga symbols na kinakailangan sa pag-compute upang mas madaling maunawaan ang mga tawag dito. Maglalagay ako ng video na galing sa Pretty Much Physics upang mas madaling maunawaan at mahintindihan ang computation nito.
We will calculate the fluid velocity inside the tube, which gives us a V of R. The next step is then to integrate this over the cross-sectional area to get the total volume transfer per time. We start with the assumption that the fluid is in equilibrium, so we have a steady flow and nothing is accelerating. In that case, the force due to a pressure difference that would accelerate the fluid is balanced by the friction force due to viscosity, which would decelerate the fluid. The pressure force is simply given by delta P times A, where delta P is the pressure difference between one end of the tube and the other end, and A denotes the cross-section of the tube, in our case, a circle. The force due to friction is given by minus eta A times the derivative of velocity with respect to x. Here, eta is the dynamic viscosity, which has units of Pascal seconds. A typical example to know the order of magnitude of eta could be water at 20 degrees Celsius, which has a dynamic viscosity of around 1 millipascal second. Next, A has a different meaning here. It denotes the area of a streamline with the same velocity. In our example, this would be the lateral surface of this cylinder here, because everything outside the cylinder has a lower velocity and everything inside the cylinder has a higher velocity. Along the surface of the cylinder, the velocity is constant, and that's the area that we need. Finally, x is a placeholder for the direction towards a streamline with a different velocity. In our case, this is the radial direction. Putting everything together, we get minus eta times the cylinder surface area 2r pi L times the derivative of velocity must be equal to P1 minus P2 times the cross-sectional area r squared pi. We can solve for the velocity by integrating over r, which is a simple integration. The integration constant c is determined via the boundary condition that the velocity at the edge of the tube must be 0, since the walls don't move. This leads to the following result, which shows the parabolic shape we mentioned earlier. Now we can start the second part of the derivation. We want to know how much liquid flows through the tube per time. This is given by the integral of velocity integrated over the cross-sectional area. To see this, consider one small volume of fluid, given by dx, dy, dz. This volume moves to the right in x direction, so the change in volume is given by dx over dt times dy and dz. Dx over dt is velocity, and in order to cover the whole pipe, we need to integrate over dy and dz. In polar coordinates, dA is given by r dr d phi. The integration over phi gives us 2 pi, and the integration over r results in uppercase R to the power of 4 over 4. Now we've got the Hagen-Poiseuille equation. The flow of a liquid in a cylindrical tube is proportional to the radius to the power of 4. This has important consequences, for instance, for blood circulation in the human body. By doubling or halving the radius of an artery, the human body can control how much blood flows through it by a factor of 16. As a final note, if we consider just an infinitesimal portion of the tube, we can replace the pressure difference divided by the tube length by a pressure gradient. But that's...
Ang formula sa example number 3 ay Q QECC equals to pi d c raised to 3 triangle P over 12 L 1 plus G over 2 C 2. Yan ang formula sa example number 3. May given dito. D is equals to 0.02. C is equals to 5.0 times 10 raised to negative 5. E 4.0 times 10 raised to negative 5. L is equals to 0.01. Triangle P is 1.0 times 10 raised to 5. At hindi ko alam kung anong embary o ano, is equals to 0.04. Ito yung given. So, ang una natin kukunin ay yung C3. C3 muna. Ang given sa C3 ay 5.0 times 10 raised to negative 5. Ko-convert natin siya sa C3 is equals to open parenthesis 5.0 times 10 raised to negative 5. Tapos lalagay pa tayo dito ng 3. Ang sagot dyan ay 1.25 times 10 raised to negative 13. Next na i-compute naman ay itong pi na to. Ito. Di mo nakasama ito. So, pi d over 12 m ata l. Uunahin muna natin ay itong pi d. Pi d is equals to pi. Meron ng given ang d kaya times
ito ang given ng D 0.02 equals to 0.062831853. Kukunin lahat na nandun sa loob ng decimals. Tapos ang kasunod naman is yung ito. Yung 12. Hindi ko lang tawag dyan. L equals to, kukopyahin lang natin yung 12 dito. Ita times natin yung given nito ay ito 0.04 times yung given nito itong 0.01 equals nito ay 0.0048. Ngayon gagawin naman natin yung fraction, yung pi d over 12 L equals to, sorry, malit po tayo dito. Dapat po ito ay L. So, dito na. Kukopyahin lang natin ito. Dito sa pi d. 0.062831853 over 0.0048. Ang equal nan ay 13.0899698. So, ang next naman natin i-compute ay yung Q. Q, ilalagay natin dyan ay CONC. So, ang ilalagay uli natin to dito. So, kukopyahin natin yung pi d over 12 L. Tapos, ilalagay naman natin itong dalawang to dito sa tabi. Yung C3, tapos yung triangle P. So, yan. Ito, ang unahin natin dito, itong answer dito sa pi d at saka dito sa may 12. Ang lalagay muna natin ay 13.0899698. Ang kasunod naman ay yung sa C3. Ito yung sa C3 natin. Ito. Lalagay naman natin siya dito. Na open and close parenthesis. Lalagyan natin siya na times 1.25 times 10 raised to negative 13. Ang kasunod natin, times uli. Tapos, yun namang given dito sa triangle P. Ang given dito ay ito. 1.0 times 10 raised to 5. Ang sagot dito, dito muna ang iyan natin, dito sa dalawang to. Ang sagot niya sa dalawang yan ay 1.25 times 10 raised to negative 8. Naging negative 8 yan kasi 13 minus 5. So, ilalagay naman uli natin ito dito. 13.0899698 times ito na 1.25. Ang equals nitong dalawa ay 1.636246173 times 10 raised to negative 7. Then, i-convert natin ito into 1.64 kasi 6 ang katabi nitong 3 times, tapos ikakopy na lang natin to, times 10 raised to negative 7. So, dito naman, ito naman muna yung isa-solve natin. Ito naman. So, ang uunahin natin dyan, itong E at saka C. So, E over C. Yung E, meron na siyang given. Ito ang given niya. Tsaka yung C, ito yung given niya. So, ang gagawin natin diyan is 4.0 times 10 raised to negative 5 over 5.0 times 10 raised to negative 5 din. So, ang magiging sagot niya dyan is 8. Gagawin natin siyang 0.8. Tapos, gagawin natin to, yung may raised to 2. So, E over C raised to 2. So, anin lang natin ay ito, yung 0.8. 0.8 raised to 2. So, ang magiging sagot niya dyan is 0.64. Doon naman sa dito na tayo. Tapos na tayo dito sa dalawa. So, doon na tayo sa bracket. Kokopyahin natin itong 1. 1 plus 3 over 2. Ginawa na natin to. Tapos, tutuldakan na lang natin dito. Ibig sabihin ng times 0.64. Magiging equal nan. Kasi ito muna yung unahin natin. Itong dalawang to. So, magiging 0.96 yan. Tapos, dito sa baba, kokopyahin natin uli itong 1 plus, tapos ito na, kasi nasolve na natin to pareho. So, 0.96. Magiging siyang 1.96. So, kung last step dito, kukunin natin yung QECC. Sa QECC is equal to QCONC. Tapos, itong 1.96 lalagay natin dito. Tapos, equal to yung ginamit natin kanina dito. Ito. Pero kukunin lang natin ay ito. Tapos, i-convert natin itong 4 to 5. So, 1.63625 times 10 raised to negative 7. So, dito na. Kokopyahin ulit natin to. So, 1.96. Open parenthesis, 1.63625 times 10 raised to negative 7 times 1.96 ulit. Kokopy lang natin dito sa unahan at sa huli. So, ang magiging sagot nan ay 6.285818. Tapos, kakopy ulit natin to. Times 10 raised to negative 7. So, i-convert lang natin to. Ililipat lang natin itong point dito sa unahan. Magiging 0.629. I-convert na lang natin yung 80 to 9. So, QL. Ito na yung sagot niya. MLS. Hindi ito mawawala dapat.
Good day everyone. So today I will be explaining how to solve the leakage flow rate in the land of spool valve using the given data. So let's begin with the example number 4. The land in a spool valve separates two fluid passage. The land has a 25 mm length and 19.7325 plus minus 0.005 mm diameter and operates in a 19.6 0.75 plus minus 0.01 mm bore. We assume that the spool is concentric. The pressure difference across the land is 20.68 MPa. Calculate the leakage flow rate past this land for minimum, nominal, and maximum leakage conditions, assuming a fluid with minimum, nominal, and maximum viscosities of 6.84, 33.1, and 900 mm, 2 seconds. Let's start with the given. So the given has a land length which is 25 mm and spool diameter, and this is the symbols. ds equals 19.7325 plus minus 0.005 mm. Bore diameter, symbols is db, equal to 19.75 plus minus 0.01 mm. Then pressure difference, P equals 20.68 MPa. Kinematic viscosities per 1 minute, 6.84. Viscosity nominal equal to 33.1, and viscosities maximum equals to 900. So the given will be required for minimum clearance, nominal clearance, and maximum clearance. So for the steps, we will start with the step 1, which is compute the minimum, nominal, and maximum clearance. Letter C, we use the relation or the formula C equals to dB minus ds divide 2. But we must consider the tolerance, mean, nominal, and max, and this is how you do it. Now that you know the step 1, we will continue to the step 2, which is convert the kinematic viscosity to dynamic viscosity. Since viscosity is given in mm squared S, Stokes, we assume a specific gravity, which is the symbols of Sg, of 0.9. Typical for oil. The relation is, this is the formula. So, now that you know the formula, we must go on how to convert the kinematic viscosity to dynamic viscosity. And this is how you will do it. After that step 2, we must proceed to the step 3, which is we must apply the leakage flow formula. The leakage through a thin annular clearance can be approximatedly using this formula. After the solution, we must interpret the result. Even though the maximum clearance is the largest, the leakage flow Q max is not the highest because the viscosity is extremely large, 900 CST, which strongly resists flow. Then the nominal case gives the highest leakage flow because it has a moderate viscosity and a decent clearance size. And since clearance is raised to the third power, which is C with the exponent of 3, it has a big effect on the results. The minimum clearance case shows the smallest flow rate due to the very tight gap. And the step 5 is the key assumptions. The formula used assumes that the laminar steady flow through a thin annular clearance. The nominal bore diameter was used as the reference D. The specific gravity of oil is assumed to be 0.9 for conversion. The spool and bore are assumed concentric, meaning no eccentricity. So in the step 1, we must find the minimum, nominal, and maximum clearance denoted as C. The formula is C equals to bore diameter minus spool diameter divide 2. Now, let's substitute the values. For minimum clearance, we use the smallest bore and the largest spool. That gives bore minimum will be equal to 19.75 minus 0.01. Then, it will be equal to 19.74 millimeters. Then, the spool is spool maximum will be equal to 19.7325 plus 0.005 equal to 19.7375 millimeter. Cut. Now that we are done with the substitute values, we will subtract and divide it by 2. So, 19.74 minus 19.7375 and divide it by 2. It will be equal to 0.00125 millimeter. Next, for the nominal clearance, we use the nominal dimensions, which is 19.75 minus 19.7325 divided by 2 will be equal to 0.00875 millimeter. Then, after the nominal clearance, we will proceed with the maximum clearance. We use the largest bore and the smallest spool, which is the bore maximum will be equal to 19.75 plus 0.01 equal to 19.76. And the spool minimum is equal to 19.7325 minus 0.005 equal to 19.7275. Then 19.76 minus 19.7275 will be divided by 2 will be equal to 0.01625 millimeter. And this, now we must compute each. For minimum, it is 6.84 times 0.9 times 0.001 equal to 0.006156 PAS. For nominal, it is equal to 33.1 times, again, to our gravity, which is 0.9 times to 0.001 equal to 0.02979 PAS. After that, for our maximum, it will be 900 times 0.9 times 0.001 equal to 0.81 PAS. Now that you know, you will must wondering where this value came from. This value came from this given. Here in the maximum viscosity of 6.84, which is this one, and 33.1, this one, and 900, which is this one. And this is our given gravity and the 0.001. And this is the product of it. Now that we are done in converting, we will be proceeding in step 3, which is solving for leakage flow rate. We use the formula for leakage flow through 18 annular clearance, which is Q equal to phi times D times C times P. Divide to 12 times L, where D is equal to 19.75 mm or 0.01975 meters. And L is equal to 25 mm or 0.025 meter. And the P is equal to 20.68 megapascals or 20.68 times 10 with the exponent of 6 pascals. Now, let's compute for each case. For minimum clearance, we must substitute the values first. So, our C is equals to 1.25 times 10 with the exponent of negative 6 meter equal to 0.006156 PAS. After solving, our Q mean will be equal to 1.36 times 10 with the exponent of negative 9 cubic meter per second. For nominal clearance, our C is equal to 8.75 times 10 with the exponent again of 6 meter. Then our MU will be 0.02979 PAS. The result will be Q, which is nominal, because nominal is what we will find out, equal to 9.62 times 10 negative 8 cubic meter per second. After that, we will proceed to the maximum clearance, which is C will be equal to 1.625 times 10 with the exponent of negative 5 meters and MU of equal to 0.81 PAS. The result will be Q, which is maximum, equal to 2.27 times 10 minus with the exponent of negative 8 cubic meter per second. So, after that, we will proceed with the interpretation. These two values came from the Bohr maximum and the Spall minimum. Now that we are done to the step 1, we will continue to the step 2, which is converting viscosity. We convert the kinematic viscosity into dynamic viscosity in Pascal seconds. We assume that specific gravity is 0.9. The formula is dynamic viscosity equal to kinematic viscosity times Sg, which is our gravity, times 0.001. Then 19.76 minus 19.7275 will be divided by 2 will be equal to 0.01625 millimeter. And this two value came from, oh my god, hindi ko alam Dito pala, wait lang. Dito. And that's how I computed the leakage flow rate and the minimum, nominal, and maximum clearance in the spool valve. Thank you.